Hi, I'm back with a follow-up review on the Bonzart Ziegel. I've had mine for almost 2 weeks now, and I've been out shooting, taking pictures. If you've seen the previous video, you've seen that I posted links to my Instagram and Flickr below it. I'll do the same for this one. Uh, in my shooting, I've seen that I've been able to get around 275 shots for the 3 batteries. So it was mixed use, leaving it on, using the ring light, and going through all the menus several times. So I'm expecting that'll be about normal. One thing everyone seems to have issues with is attaching the faceplate. Like I said in my previous one, it was tricky getting that screw in. If it's still not secure, try again. And if it's still not secure, you can always hopefully attach it with a rubber band. I strung one around here. That way you make sure it's stuck together, and hopefully the shutter button lines up. That's the other thing that seems to be a common issue, is getting the shutter button to work. Mine seems a little finicky. It works, but it seems to take a special touch. So it's one of those things that seems to be a little bit of a design issue. Hopefully they'll make some improvements, or when they send out the wrist strap, they'll send out something that helps out with that. But that's one of those things that would be nice to be changed. So same thing with the holes. I think that's a design issue too, because if the faceplate isn't securely attached, and you're using your strap or your wrist strap, you could be left holding just your face and drop the camera. So not the best design with that. Some of the common questions I've seen are, how do you use the frames? And so when you first click it, it's most likely going to say not support frame, and it's a little bit frustrating. I immediately thought that it must be something within the resolution. So if you go through the menus and you find the resolution setting, it should be the second one down. That's the one that seems to support the frames. So if we pick that one and then hit set, then we can toggle through the different frames. And the first few aren't as obvious that it did anything, but you'll see a little like frame arrow. As we toggle through, you just keep hitting the frame button, and it'll eventually get to one that you like, or hopefully. I suppose pulling off the lens cap helps. But you can see here's just your straight film with no counter, which is the one that I like the best. But that's what you need to do, is you need to pick whatever that specific resolution and go with that. So the other thing somebody asked about is the aspect ratio. And there is no switch to set the aspect ratio, but what you'll notice is that if you go back to your resolution, you'll see that I believe the top two are about 4:3. The third one down is your 16 by 9, and there's your square. So, if you want to shoot at full resolution, just shoot at the top one and crop it later. But if you want to do it in camera, you just have to be okay with the lower resolutions. And again, it says 18 megapixel. I'm not sure if that's upscaling at all. It appears that it might be, but it's one of those things. Experiment with it, see what you like, and as you continue to go through the resolution options, it gets lower, but it repeats those aspect ratios. So the bottom one here is, again, a square. So the other thing that I wasn't aware of when I first started shooting with it is the exposure compensation, and that's just when you're in the film mode. When you're shooting, you can just hit the plus or minus, and you'll see, probably hard to see here, but you'll see that in this little window here, it tells you what your EV is. So, you can toggle through that and go from -3 to +3 and anywhere in between there. So that's a good thing to know too, because default it seemed to be overexposing things, but now that I'm aware of it, it's one of those things that I'll make sure I continue to use. So another issue that I've had, and I'm sure others had too, was working with the lens, the wide angle and the macro lens. So you'll notice that it does come with lens caps, and the first time that you use them, you might need a knife, and even the second or third time, you might need a knife to pry this bottom one off because it is really tight. And then also unscrewing it, it seemed extremely tight. So just to unscrew that to get to the macro lens and then screwing it back together to use as a combo. And the magnet does seem to hold pretty well. So just once you attach it there, you know, it doesn't seem like it's going to go anywhere. It is really stiff. It just can be hard to get things in focus when you're using the macro lens. So you just need to have a steady hand and hope your shutter button is working well. And remember to use the ring light and probably the exposure compensation as well, just to get that dialed in exactly where you want it and to play with that a little bit. So overall, I like the camera. It seems to be a combination of what I liked with the Holga Digital. The Holga Digital came out, I believe, 5 or 6 years ago. It was very simple with just, you know, your options for indoor or outdoor shooting. It has a hot shoe. It has your 4/3 and your square. And then on the bottom here, you have your color or black and white option. But no screen on this, but it is a fun camera. And, you know, the Bonzart Ziegel seems to encapsulate some of those features. Same thing with the Yashica. The Yashica is another fun toy, but if you didn't get in on it on the Kickstarter campaign, you know, I think you're overpaying for it wherever else you get it. And this one, you had the option to go with the different film types through actually putting in a cartridge, which wasn't as convenient, but made it kind of fun too. So you could pop in, you know, various film cartridges, but you also, it came with a few, and then if you wanted more, you had to buy those. So, you know, and again, no screen. It does have the exposure compensation, but overall, I think the Bonzart really takes the best features from those two toy cameras and puts them in one package with the screen, so you can see right away, you know, what you shot. You can see what kind of settings you have. You have some flexibility there. But hopefully you guys are having good luck with yours, and you'll post to Instagram or Flickr and share, and let me know if you have any tips or tricks that you've discovered. Thanks.